Merry Christmas and welcome to All About English. I'm Dennis Wilborn and this is Read All About It. Tonight we are continuing our exploration of Charles Dickens's beloved novel, A Christmas Carol. This is episode 18 of 26 and we are going deeper into chapter 3. We just left the Cratchit family and suddenly arrived in a new place to find Scrooge's nephew laughing heartily about something. Now, let's see what the young man and his friends find so hilarious. So grab your hot cocoa and join me on this amusing journey as we uncover the secrets of A Christmas Carol. Let's see what it's all about. Chapter 3, Part 5. Here we are. We'll jump right into the vocabulary. The first word is contagious. Contagious. I don't know how you got to 2022 without learning the word contagious, because it's been on the tongue and lips of every person for the last 2 years, at least almost 3 years now. Contagious is an adjective. It means spread from one human or animal to another, like a virus. Having a disease that can be spread by contact with others. Yeah, like a certain virus that starts with a C and ends with a 19. Is it contagious? Maybe. Don't worry, it's not contagious. Let's hope not. All right, the next word is another adjective, competent. Competent, having enough skill to do something well. Our competent and experienced staff will ensure the success of your project. Well, isn't that good to know? If you're hiring someone, you definitely want to make sure that they are competent to do the job and make sure the project is done. One of the underrated keys to success is having a competent secretary or personal assistant. I mean, does anybody use the word secretary anymore these days, aside from like government officials, secretary of this, secretary of that? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe in your line of wood. I don't have a secretary. I got to do all this stuff on my own. That's what I need, a competent secretary. While not a good team player, he is an extremely competent scientist. Well, I guess 1 out of 2 isn't bad. Being a competent is one thing, but being a good team player, that is its skill in and of itself, and it can make up for a lack of competence in many cases. Maybe not in science, though. And the last word here is, maybe not the last word. We have bachelor. Bachelor is a noun, a man who has never been married. He enjoys his status as a bachelor. Do you know any bachelors in your life? A man who's never been married. He is the most eligible bachelor in Seattle, so everyone wants to know him. Everyone? Or just the ladies? The single ladies? All the single ladies? Anyway. And last but not least, another noun, outcast. A person who is rejected by a particular group or society. Sometimes the best solution when someone just doesn't want to conform is to treat them like an outcast. In this case, she's been feeling like an outcast because of her political views. Know anybody like that? I know I do. All right, let's jump into this book passage. Remember, the last time we saw Scrooge and the Ghost of Christmas Present, they were just leaving Marley's house. Not Marley, Bob Cratchit's house. And it was quite an interesting revelation by Mrs. Cratchit. I'm sure Scrooge is still feeling a little bit of that when he shows up and sees his nephew laughing about something. Let's find out what it is. It is a fair, even-handed, noble adjustment of things, that while there is infection in disease and sorrow, there is nothing in the world so irresistibly contagious as laughter and good humor. When Scrooge's nephew laughed, Scrooge's niece by marriage laughed as heartily as he, and so did their assembled friends. He said that Christmas was a humbug, as I live, cried Scrooge's nephew. He believed it too. Oh, more shame for him, Fred, said Scrooge's niece indignantly. She was very pretty, exceedingly pretty, with a dimpled, surprised-looking face, a ripe little mouth that seemed made to be kissed, as no doubt it was. All kinds of good little dots about her chin that melted into one another when she laughed, and the sunniest pair of eyes you ever saw in any little creature's head. "He's a comical old fellow," said Scrooge's nephew. "That's the truth, and not so pleasant as he might be. Who suffers by his ill whims? Himself, always. Here he takes it into his head to dislike us, and he won't come and dine with us." "I think he loses a very good dinner," interrupted Scrooge's niece. Everybody else said the same, and they must be allowed to have been competent judges, because they had just had dinner. "Well, I am very glad to hear it," said Scrooge's nephew, "because I haven't any great faith in these young housekeepers. What do you say, Topper?" Topper clearly had his eye on one of Scrooge's niece's sisters, for he answered that a bachelor was an outcast, who had no right to express an opinion on the subject. At this moment, Scrooge's niece's sister blushed. After tea, they had some music and played all sorts of games. All right. Sounds like quite a little dinner party, a little group of friends there. So, according to this passage, what is the most contagious thing in the world? That's right. It's not C-19. It is laughter and good humor. Of course. Have you ever been around someone or a group of people who laugh, and a real good-humored, hearty laugh, and you can't help but laugh yourself? I think most of us have. How are Scrooge's niece's eyes described? Actually, the description of Scrooge's niece is quite good. Very pretty, exceedingly pretty. But it finishes off with, she has the sunniest pair of eyes you ever saw in any little creature's head. Sunny pair of eyes. Wow, sunny. And who is affected by Scrooge's whims? According to the nephew. No, it's not the nephew. It's not anybody else. According to the nephew, the only person affected by Scrooge's whims is Scrooge himself. Who suffers by his ill whims? Himself, always. What he's saying is that Scrooge is he's this ill-tempered, foul-mannered. He makes out like he hates the whole world, and he's the only person who suffers because of it. Very, very astute observation by Scrooge's nephew. And how did Scrooge's niece's sister react to Topper's comments? I have to say, Scrooge's niece's sister is not an easy thing to say, especially when you have to say it twice in just a short time. Topper, I assume, is the friend of Scrooge's nephew, because he clearly has his eye on the niece's sister, and he answers that he has no opinion on the subject. What is the subject that he's to have an opinion on? Well, he says, I haven't any great faith in these young housekeepers. And meaning people who keep the house, the people who clean up and make sure that everything's nice. Yeah, the friend Topper says that because he's a bachelor, he has no right to express an opinion on the subject. Sounds like a typical bachelor of today. Notice that, when men are not married, they don't want to offend those that they want to get married to. Anyway, language practice, you'll have a good chance to take a look at that on your own. The link is in the description, true or false. And I'd love to hear your opinion. First question here. Actually, I was going to ask, what do you think about the atmosphere at Fred's dinner. But instead, I think I'll go with this one. Do you think that Fred loves his uncle? Why or why not? Keep in mind, everything we've known about Fred so far, from the beginning of the show to now, from the beginning of the story, we saw Fred, meaning Scrooge's nephew. What makes him, does he love his uncle or not? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know what you think. And that is all the time that we have for today. This has been Read All About It. This has been episode 18. Only a few more to go until we get to the end. Are you ready? I sure hope so. See you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me on this reading of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And if you want to continue the story, just click on the box right over there. I am always grateful for your support, so please remember to like and subscribe for more from All About English. Merry Christmas.